I really just want to take a couple of hours to myself and I just want to sit with my emotions and just experience the loss. And then I'm going to be okay. That's okay to do.
Yeah.
That's not unhealthy.
So allowing, the grieving person to do that.
To grieve.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Processing grief is hard. Right? And there's no way to make it not hard.
And
right?
There's no way to speed through the stages and to get, to try to bypass any of them.
Hey, pod people. Welcome to this week's episode of
Why Do People Do That?
So today is going to be a little bit emotional, but hopefully helpful.
Yeah.
We're a little bit nervous. I think we might cry today, but that's okay. We'll cry with all of you guys that need to be a part of this week's episode. So the holidays are coming.
Yes.
And with the holidays comes lots of different feelings, emotions, issues, some good, some bad, some just are what they are. So what we'd like to tackle today is the topic of grieving during the holidays for a lot of people. And I see this showing up in my Facebook feed a lot, which is part of the reason why I thought maybe this might be a good idea to talk about today. That sometimes the holidays are really hard for people who have recently lost somebody. But also
not even necessarily recently, just any kind of loss.
Any kind of loss. Sometimes it's a little bit harder when it's new, the first Christmas or the first Thanksgiving, the first whatever. But it can always be hard, even years and years later, it can be hard. So we'd like to talk about, how hard it can be. We'd like to talk about what it feels like. But I think most importantly, we'd like to talk about what might be helpful. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. Any thoughts on where you want to start?
No, the whole topic is kind of overwhelming for me. And I think, the idea of kind of honoring traditions, but just, having someone not there and, oh my God, I'm starting already.
That's okay. We could cry.
No, I would have worn different mascara.
So I'm thinking about your Facebook post the other day.
The horrible, sad poem or the empty chair and being able to hold space for grief and gratitude at the same time.
Yes. So Heather posted a picture of an empty chair. And she wrote, "You can be thankful and
grief and gratitude.
Grief and gratitude can coexist." That was it, right? It's holding space for both at the same time. You know how I love my interweaves, right? Where you can hold two things together at the same time that feel conflicting. And so I think a lot of people feel, if I'm grieving on Thanksgiving, how could I also have gratitude? And I loved that you were able to find that and that you posted that picture for everybody else to see, because I think that there probably are people who saw that picture and that probably resonated for them.
I would hope so, or I would think so, because I think it is really difficult to kind of manage both emotions, to be sad, but also to allow yourself to kind of be happy for all the things that you still do have while still acknowledging that there's something or someone not there.
Yeah. So maybe let's talk about what makes it hard. I think that one of the emotions that comes up quite often for people when they're grieving, which is part of what makes holidays hard, I think sometimes is guilt. Do I feel guilty being thankful on Thanksgiving when I've also lost somebody? Is it okay to have gratitude? Is it okay to be thankful when I'm supposed to be sad that so-and-so is not here, that they're missing it, that they've passed away? Is it okay to be thankful for the things I have and not just honor what is not here? I think that's part of what makes it challenging, right?
The guilt.
The guilt. What else makes it hard?
I think it's just the traditions, you know, having someone, you know, you do things a certain way every year and then not having that person there. For me, it was, you know, cooking a turkey for the first time by myself. And like the idea of, oh my God, my mother always does this. How am I going to do this? How can I do this?
Yeah. So part of it is feeling like I now have to take responsibility for something that was never my responsibility, and I don't even know how.
And I don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. I want her to be there.
Yeah, it's hard. Right? It's about the pain,
hmm
right? The sadness of what kind of becomes really blaringly obvious, right? When you have to do something yourself for the first time, or even if it's not something you have to do yourself for the first time, but something you're doing without that person for the
Yeah.
first time. It's like, wow, they're really not here. And it's so sad and it's so painful. And I think for a lot of people, they want to avoid that,
Yeah.
right? It's like, I don't want to feel that. So maybe I just won't celebrate the
Mhm.
holiday this year.
And I think, you know, you're saying the first time. And I think, you know, like you said in the beginning, it's not always the first time. It's not just the first time. It's,
Mhm.
you know, every year having Thanksgiving or having Easter or having Hanukkah without that person there.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that it gets easier. You just sort of learn to kind of live with that.
Yeah. I think that, part of what has helped me over the years with all the different losses I've experienced and when things come up, whether it be a birthday or, Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever it is, to say, it's so sad that this person isn't here anymore because we used to do this and now we can't because they're not here. And it could be something as big as, we always went to their house for this holiday and now they're no longer here. So we're no longer going to their house. So now
Mhm.
where do we go?
Yeah.
Now what do we do? I remember that feeling when my grandmother's passed because the holidays are always split between my grandmothers. One grandmother would have it or the other grandmother would have it, or we'd split the day and go
Mhm.
to one grandmother, then the other grandmother. Or if it was a Jewish holiday and it was like one Rosh Hashanah night at this grandma and then the other Rosh Hashanah night at that grandma. And so when my grandmother is passed, it was, well, we're not going to grandma's because she's not here. So now what? So I think, long story short, it's about creating a new tradition,
Yeah.
right? If the tradition was go to Mima's house for Rosh Hashanah and now Mima's not here, can we create a new Rosh Hashanah tradition? And know that that first year might be hard because it's really like in your face, like obvious that Mima's not here
Because we're not at Mima's
because we're
house.
not at Mima's house, right? We're at mom's house or we're at my house or whatever, we chose to do that year. I don't even remember. But it became a new tradition. Our tradition for Rosh Hashanah now is going to be this. And allowing that to be okay, allowing it to be hard that first year or even the second year or the third year, allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling and sit with the distress that you're feeling, allowing yourself to feel sad or guilty or whatever it is that you're feeling and say, it's okay that I feel like this, but it doesn't mean I have to avoid it. It doesn't mean I can't celebrate Christmas or Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or Rosh Hashanah or whatever it is. I can celebrate it, but I can allow myself to celebrate it differently. And how can I bring on a new tradition, but still honor the person that is no longer here? And I think that's something you did on Thanksgiving, right?
I'm just thinking, not going to Mima's house because Mima's not in her house anymore. And like you're sort of forced to create a new, have it at your house, have it at your brother's house, whatever, you're
Yep.
forced to versus it's always been at my house and now there's just an empty chair.
Yeah.
It's the same tradition, but there's just like blatantly someone missing.
So how do you create a new tradition, even though it's still at your house, that honors your mother, but makes it different? And even though that might be sad, right, it can in time start to feel okay,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's about how do we honor your mother?
Yeah, and I think it's by continuing to do the things that they would want us to do or that we used to do and acknowledging that she's not there and,
Mhm.
allowing yourself to be sad, but to still, feel grateful or still be happy and still, enjoy the time with family.
I think sometimes doing the little things that they liked, right? Still cooking their favorite dish,
Hmm.
right? Or where they like to sit, honoring that seat for them, right? There's so many different things.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's so important to acknowledge for everybody that there's no right way to do this, right? It has to be what feels right for you, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, um, my first Thanksgiving without my mother, I just didn't celebrate Thanksgiving. And I don't know that that was a right or wrong thing to do. I think for me, I just wasn't ready that year. It didn't feel right.
Hmm.
I just didn't want to bring myself into celebrating it. And so I kind of just laid low that year. I think I maybe just had my dad over, right?
Hmm.
And I think we just like hung out and ate dinner and like I kind of skipped going to like my husband's side of the family. Like they were having like a big thing at the house. And I was just like, I just don't feel it this year. I don't want to go. And I honored that for
Yeah.
myself. And I
Hmm.
think that that's okay, right? If that, I mean, we don't want to do that forever. I don't think we want to kind of like take that holiday that's important to you and pocket it for the rest of your life and never celebrate it again, right? But if it feels too new or too soon and you feel like this year I want to just stay home by myself and sit on the couch and wrap myself in a blanket and watch my favorite movie and that's how you want to spend the day, that's okay,
Hmm.
right? I think we have to really honor where we're showing up and allow it.
And I think, it's interesting, you have to also kind of take into consideration the other people it impacts. Like,
Yep.
you not wanting to have Thanksgiving doesn't mean that Mark couldn't go to his family and, go and be with them for a little while and then come home and be with you. It's, like your process doesn't have to.
Yeah, and he did. I think he
Mhm.
went and saw his brother and he saw his family, whatever. And then he came back home and we had dinner with my dad. And I was totally cool with that. I was like, you go, but I just don't have it in me and
Mhm.
I'm okay. I just want to chill out. And so I honored that for myself, but I also honored what he needed
Yeah.
and didn't feel upset or hurt by that,
Mhm.
right? Because, he doesn't have to stay home, right? He's not grieving the same loss that I'm grieving.
Yeah.
So, um, in talking about, traditions and pain and all of that, do we want to maybe bring up something that's happening currently for you that might be a good example for people, or is that too hard right now?
No, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Aside from knowing that I didn't, well, not really being sure how I was going to get through Thanksgiving, but got through Thanksgiving and then the idea of putting up the tree and saying, I don't know that I can do the tree this year.
Yep.
And having kind of mixed feelings about it. Like I need a tree. We're not going to be the house without the tree. That's too important to me and the tradition and, what we're doing, but I just didn't know that I could do it by myself.
You needed help.
Yes.
Normally you would do the tree with your mom.
Um yes, we would do her tree, we would do my tree, but just the whole idea of it being Christmas without her and she was always very into decorating and Christmas and the tree and all of that I didn't know if I could do it. And like, all of our ornaments, we're that family that has the giant box of ornaments that I've made every year since I was,
Yep.
born. So each ornament has a story. It's not just putting colored balls on. It's, which is what my daughter would love. Like she wants a color themed tree. And I'm like, nope. She's like, nothing matches. I'm like, nope, this is every ornament you've ever made plus every ornament I've ever made. Like they all have stories. And,
Yeah.
going through hanging each one, like I didn't know that I could do, which then created an argument with my husband about not putting the tree up. And
Well, let's pause that for a second. Let's go back to I didn't know if I could do. What does that really mean when you say I don't know if I can?
I would just think I was feeling too emotional and I didn't think I could manage doing that by myself without breaking down.
So you felt like this is going to bring up a lot of pain. And I just don't know that I want to sit with that pain right now.
Mhm.
Right. So, so there's a couple of different things there. Number one, and I think this is really important for the people at home. There's lots of different things we do with pain, right? Sometimes we really just allow it. We say, this is going to be painful, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is going to suck and I'm going to sit in the suck, or this is going to be sad and I'm going to sit in the sad and I'm going to experience the sad and I'm going to tolerate the sad. And sometimes I know that this is going to be really sad and I don't want to experience that. So I'm going to choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's no right or wrong, right? It's you have to choose what feels right. Right. It could to say the tree is really important to me and I want to have a tree, but I know the process of putting up the tree is going to be really painful. So maybe what you needed was just to take a minute.
I think that it was back to back. Like it was, didn't know that how I was going to do with Thanksgiving, got through Thanksgiving. It's the day after. And now we're jumping onto a whole other holiday with whole other traditions and just didn't know that I could manage it.
Yeah. You probably needed to take a hot minute.
Yep.
And just process how hard Thanksgiving was and just sit in the day. And maybe traditionally you just did the tree the next day. And so maybe this year you needed to not just jump into doing it the next day. Maybe you needed to just really process Thanksgiving and give yourself space and think about how you wanted to even tackle Christmas. You might have needed a moment just to say, do I need help? What does help look like?
Yep. And I think that's where
How do I ask for it?
Yeah, that's where I went wrong. Rather than saying, I don't think I can do this and trying to completely avoid it, being able to, approach it and say, you know what, this is going to suck. I'm going to need help with this.
Right. And knowing what help looks like, who you wanted the help from, in what way you wanted help. And so I think probably what went wrong there was you felt the pressure to have to do, which pulled you into retreating and avoiding, right? I don't think I can do this, right? And so I think what your husband heard was there's not going to be a tree this year, right?
Like the fucking Grinch that stole Christmas. I am now the Grinch and not allowing Christmas in our home.
Yeah, which probably brought up stuff for him, right? Because whether he realizes it or not, he has grief too, right?
Yeah.
Right? There's people he's lost.
Yep.
He's lost your mom also. He's lost his father.
Yeah.
Right? And Christmas also means something to him. Having a tree obviously means something to him, whether he's in touch with what that is about or not, or whether he expresses that verbally or not. I think what was showing up for him was it's really important to me to have the tree. And it's really important for me to do the tree today. Right? And you not ready to express what that meant for you or what that was going to look like for you in a way that you were ready to express it really brought us into this communication breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? So where did that end up going?
He would do the fucking tree himself.
Aw.
And you know me, the tree was not done right. The branches weren't fluffed.
Right. So what happened was he was like, there has to be a tree. So I have to save the day now and do the tree. Right. It brought up a lot of emotion for him. He went into fight or flight. We don't really know why because we haven't asked him. We just know that he went into fight or flight. Right. Because he said he would do the fucking tree and he did the tree, but didn't do the tree the way you would do the tree, which meant you were now pulled into having to do the tree yesterday, even though you were not ready and needed help.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a little bit of a disaster.
Yeah.
So if we were to do this all over again, what might you have done differently yesterday?
I could have asked for help and said, I don't think I could do the tree by myself. I could have allowed myself the time to get through one holiday before trying to jump and tackle the next
one.
holiday. Because I think that's, they're kind of back to back going into, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas isn't, just a day. It's a whole season too. So it's, all of these things that, kind of start coming up, and it's weeks of prep and weeks of activities and parties and traditions and things and making cookies and all the things. So I think, being able to take a moment to kind of allow myself to get through the first holiday before jumping on to the next one.
You also might have needed to process the whole season, right? Because it's not just the tree, like you said, right? It's the shopping and the cookies and Black Friday
Yep.
and so many things that are now right in front of you that you have to navigate that you know are going to be painful this year, right?
Yeah.
So processing is a process,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think that's really the next thing that I think I want to kind of really drive home to our pod people, right?
Because I don't want this to just be me. I think this is kind of generic, overall people grieving, dealing with stuff and being able to kind of, the lesson I learned here is asking for help and identifying what that help looks like, whether it's, I need you to just put the tree on pause for another week. I need you, can we do this together? Maybe can we do this differently? Being able to kind of identify first what I needed and then verbalize that rather than sort of saying I can't do this and retreating.
Yeah, I think for you, I can't do this was fight or flight, right? That was you fleeing, right? And then I think your husband went into fight or flight and he was fighting, right? So you fled and he fought. Right. And I think that happened because neither one of you made the space for processing and communicating what was going on. And the only way we can really communicate what's going on is to understand ourselves.
Yeah.
What's going on inside of us. Right. And so we have to really pause and take a moment. Right. We're coming out of Thanksgiving now and going into Christmas and Hanukkah. And I think that, if Thanksgiving was hard, right, to kind of really take a moment to think about what was hard about it. And so if we're now going into the next, phase of holidays that are right in front of us already starting, what is hard about it and what do we need, and giving ourselves the space to honor what we need without feeling guilty about how that might affect other people in your life, right? Even if you feel guilty that your daughter needs to have the tree, okay. And your husband needs to have the tree, okay. But maybe you need to do it differently this year, right? And so how do we compromise? How do we make space for everybody in a way that makes sense? And how do we honor what we're feeling and process what we're feeling, or even sit with and tolerate the difficulty of what we're feeling in a way that makes sense? Because sometimes we have to really understand what we're even feeling. What is it?
I think, and that's the thing with grief too, is it's so complicated and
Yep.
it's so many different emotions wrapped up. You had mentioned the guilt, but the anger, the
Sadness.
there's so many things that are kind of tied into this, and it isn't always very cleanly identifiable, and they get sort of mushed together. So being able to kind of take the time to identify what emotions you're even having.
Yeah, and honor them. Give them merit. The reality is we all talk about the phases of grief, but the phases don't come in any specific order, right?
And they don't just come once.
Right.
They come and they recycle and they
go
come back
back
and forth. Yep.
We go back to them. We can go back to anger. We can go back to negotiating. We can go back to shock, right? And so sometimes if you lose somebody and then the holiday comes around for the first time, that shock and disbelief of that person's absence hits you all over again, just like the moment that you lost them. It's hard.
Yeah.
Want to breathe? Take a moment. You okay?
I'm okay.
Balloon breath, right? I find balloon breathing to be really, really helpful. I was in Las Vegas this week and I was in the Sphere, and I have a fear of heights. And if anyone's ever been in the Sphere in Las Vegas, and if you're sitting all the way at the top, you literally feel like you're going to just like tumble and fall to your death.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being dramatic. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. And I got in there and I sat down and I was like, holy hell. And I was just like, do people not fall and die in here? And so I sat there and I was like, all right, polyvagal theory. I'm going to do my balloon breathing and see if it works, right? Which means that you literally breathe like you're blowing up a balloon. So I took a really deep breath. And I blew it out. And it helped me. And I was like, oh, I no longer feel like I'm going to fall and die. It was really so helpful.
Wow.
So what's my point? My point, people, is sometimes we can actually tolerate hard things. And sometimes we can allow ourselves to sit in our pain and our sadness, and we can regulate ourselves and say, this is really hard, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we can still show up for Christmas or Thanksgiving or tree decorating or whatever it is. And we can really just give ourselves the moment to breathe or to cry or to, allow ourselves to process. Even crying, that's a somatic experience. That's our body's way of processing out and releasing feelings that are hard. So, just that moment that you took right there for the second, that split second where you got tearful, right now you feel okay, right? Because that was your body releasing an emotion that it needed to release, because this is really hard stuff, right? But I think that, I'm grateful to you that you're doing it anyway, because it can be so helpful to the people that are listening or watching, and it's helpful for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is a really hard time for you. So even just going through this conversation and having the conversation and talking about it and feeling it might help you get through it.
Yep. What's so weird is how uncomfortable other people are with grief and with loss. And, people don't know what to do. You find that immediately, when someone dies, people don't know what to say, and people say stupid shit. And we could do a whole podcast on why do people say stupid shit when people die, but no one knows what to say. And there really isn't anything you can say. There's 1,000 things that are wrong to say, but there's nothing other than just, I'm so sorry, I'm here for you kind of thing. But
validation.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was my point? That grief, dealing with emotions makes people uncomfortable, and people don't know, do I bring up that person? Do I say their name? Do we acknowledge this? Is it going to make you think, is it going to make you sad if I bring up your mom or your sister's not here? She never got to see this. Is that going to make you sad? Or people don't know what to do, and people are uncomfortable. So they, kind of avoid it also.
Yeah. And sometimes that makes it harder.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's easier if, the people around you know that you're having a hard time, because then you don't feel like you have to hide the hard time, right? To say, I know that today's hard, right? If there's anything that I can do to make it, easier, if there's anything I can do to be helpful, right? If you are feeling sad, just know it's okay, right? You don't have to hide that here.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the most helpful thing you can do.
Yeah.
Right? Is just to say, I know today might be hard, and I just want you to know that I'm here. It's okay.
And I think there's so many support groups around for, grief and loss and the holidays, because I think there is we talk about all the time, the shared connection and the idea of other people kind of going through that same feeling. There's, no one else can experience the loss of a child, other than a parent that lost a child. I mean, people can empathize, people can, but no one else gets that. So being around other people that have had similar experiences, to be able to just emote and they're not going to be uncomfortable with it. The other people around can be so uncomfortable, but there are people out there that get it.
Yeah.
And I think finding your people that will get it and can support you is so important.
I think I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think really the most important thing for people to understand, if you are trying to support somebody who's grieving during the holiday or anytime really, is it's not something to fix. It's not something to be fixed, right? If it's, Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or Christmas, and, a friend or a family member is sad because of a loss, it's not something to fix. It's not your job to make them not be sad. Allow them to be sad. Honor that fact that they're sad, and just sit with their sadness, right?
Yeah,
I think
being able to acknowledge it. I think it's people's tendency to want to fix.
Make it go away. Yeah. How do I make you not be sad?
Yep. I'll distract you. I'll, try to take you out of the situation, whatever. But
right. Let's think about this instead. Let's do that instead.
Let's
right.
get out of the house.
I'm going to cheer you up. Yep. I'm going to tell you a joke. Or, but they had such a good life and they lived such a long life, and they were so happy, or, hey, look over here. Uncle Joe can juggle. I think it's okay to just, put your hand on over someone else's hand, or hold their hand, or rub their back, and just look at them, make eye contact with them and say, I know it's hard.
Yeah, I think just being able to have people kind of acknowledge it would be, is so important.
Yeah. Or I miss them too. Or it must be so hard today. I'm here. I mean, if you want to talk about it, or if you don't want to talk about it, or, if somebody does want to set that empty plate, allow it. I've heard people say things like, oh no, don't put that at the table. It's going to make everybody else sad, or it's going to be awkward, or it's going to make people uncomfortable. You know what? That's okay. We can all tolerate being uncomfortable, right? If somebody wants to set that empty plate, let them set that empty plate. Let them.
Oh, don't let them.
Don't let them.
We're not going let them.
Let them in a different way. Allow them. Allow them to do what they need to do, even if it makes you uncomfortable, right? We all can tolerate sitting with discomfort, right? We don't have to fix or make it go away or make somebody not be sad, right? Allow it, right? That's how we honor ourselves. It's how we honor our loved ones. And it's how we honor the people that have passed, right? Allow ourselves to have feelings about it, and allow the people that we're with to have the feelings they're having. It's not our job to fix it, make it better, make it go away.
Yeah, I think that's such an important concept or message that, you're not going to fix this, but just to be there for someone, however that looks for them.
Yeah. And I think also what I hear from a lot of people about starting new traditions is sometimes they feel guilty, right? Starting something new means that I'm moving on without this person. I think that sometimes keeping up with the old traditions and keeping the old things going is really what helps you. But sometimes moving on and creating new traditions is what helps you. And I think you're the one here, right? You're the one who has to face that holiday. And I think you have to do what feels right for you. And if starting a new tradition about how you decorate your tree, or how you cook your turkey, or how you light your menorah is going to be what works for you, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Create a new tradition now that exists, that honors the person, or that exists without the person. Whatever it is okay.
Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful things I read about grief was, it's the loss, but it's also kind of reimagining your life without that person in it. So now it's kind of reimagining and creating something new without them there, or whether it's continuing with the old or doing something new, adding something different to it.
You have a new relationship with the person, right? Like the relationship doesn't have to not exist anymore. The relationship is different. Maybe how you talk to the person, right? You don't have to not talk to them. You can still talk to them.
They're not going to respond though.
Well, maybe they respond in the little magical ways that they know how to respond.
This is true.
Right. So I could share a story. So my mother's one of her favorite songs was Barry Manilow, I Can't Smile Without You. Unfortunately, that was one of her favorite songs.
She was a fan of Low.
She was a fan of Low. I think it reminded her of my sister, and I think that's one of the reasons she loved it so much. So I was in Vegas at the Formula One races last week, which is why I was at the Sphere with my daughter. And we got out of the car. And we were walking into the airport to fly home. And we walked into the airport and Barry Manilow, I Can't Smile Without You, was on. And I was just like, okay. So whether it was or not, right, I believe that was my mother's way of letting us know she was with us. It was like a family trip. We were all there together. And I was thinking about her and the holidays and all that stuff. So, we just walked into the airport at that very right moment. And what was interesting is that the whole song didn't play. It was only like a piece of the song, and then it got interrupted in a new song. It was almost as if somebody was like, why are we playing Barry Manilow?
It's for that family right there.
Right.
They needed
So
it.
it wasn't even the whole song. It was like we walked in, I heard the song for like a brief moment, and then it went off and a different song came on, which it was even weirder. My mother might not be like able to be like, I'm here, I'm going to be on the plane with you guys. But for me, that was her way of communicating. But it all depends on what you believe. Everyone believes something different. But you don't have to stop having a relationship with somebody just because they're not here the way you're used to them being here. We change or we shift our relationship with somebody after they pass by honoring them in different ways, by setting a plate for them, by playing their favorite song, by cooking their favorite dish, by thinking of them, by visiting them at the cemetery or talking to their ashes or whatever it is, right? Everyone has their own unique way. There's no right or wrong way. But I think it's important to think about the different ways that we can shift the relationship we have with the person that passed and continue to have a relationship with them in a different way. We still carry them with us.
I'm here for it. Tell me, how do we do that?
Well, you probably are already doing that in certain ways, whether you realize it or not, right? Like every time we see a ladybug, right? That's your mom. Right. There was this really cool incident that happened maybe like 2 months ago, right? I went to pick you up at lunch, right? I love this was the coolest. I literally burst out hysterical crying. I think I cried harder than you did. Right. So I went to pick Heather up from lunch at work. Sometimes I do that. Like she'll be at work and I'll like go pick her up at her job. And we've decided that ladybugs are Heather's mother because she loved ladybugs.
No, because before she died, we had to identify like a couple of things that like if she was trying to communicate with me that like we would know. So, if I ever went to a psychic or whatever, like there would be certain symbols and signs and animals. So we identified this animal as being the one that like, okay, so if the psychic tells you that, she sees ladybugs, then it's really me. And it's not just like some.
So your mother told you that a
Yes.
ladybug would be her.
Yep.
Okay. So that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Right. So I get to your job and you get into the car and literally the second you got into the car, a ladybug literally threw itself at my windshield, like threw it, like aggressively threw itself, like slam, like so that you couldn't miss it. Right. Like we both like shifted and looked and there was just a ladybug, right? Like just like crashed. And it's not like my car was moving. So like my car drove into it. It was parked. It was a parked car and this ladybug just like committed suicide on my windshield.
Just to prove a point.
Just to prove
I'm
a
coming
point.
to Panera with you.
Right. She came to lunch with us. Right. So there. Right. So every time we see a ladybug, what else? What are other ways? Right. You set a table seat for her at Thanksgiving. Right. What are other ways that you still have a relationship with your mother?
Oh, God. I mean, on some level in everything that I do, like I do get the whole she's with me and the people that we lose are always with us. So it's, continuing to do the things that she would do, that she would want to do.
Yeah, thinking about her, right? Everything you've learned from her that you do, the way that you prepared your turkey.
The way that I decorate the tree and fluff the branches that she got from her father, that they have to be a certain way.
Right. Even the fact that you insist on having your ornaments be the ones that you've been making your whole life. You got that from her because that's what she did.
Yep.
Right. And your daughter will get that from you.
Not if she can help it. She'll have the monotone, very Pinterest-worthy tree.
Yeah, maybe. And that'll be her thing that she'll pass on to her kids. And that's okay.
I'll have a box full of ornaments that I made and she made that.
Right. But even like your craftiness and the way that you decorate, you probably got from her because she likes to decorate. That's so important to her. Right. What else?
You're putting me on the spot here. I mean, it's just keeping up with her traditions, with things that she would do and being able to, hold on to that and to talk about her with my daughter, to keep doing these things.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just like the way that my parents liked to celebrate holidays, right? The importance of being together, not caring so much about this part of it, but caring more about that part of it. Or, the way that they would buy presents or give gifts. The way that they, even just like we were talking before we even started this podcast, we were talking about the fact that I've never cooked a turkey because my mother never cooked a turkey. Right. And so I cater the turkey because I never learned how to cook the turkey. And so there's a part of me that honors my mother by not cooking the turkey. Right. This is the way my mom did Thanksgiving. My mom did Thanksgiving by getting the turkey at Zorn's. And so I get the turkey at Zorn's because
That's what you do.
What you do.
Yeah.
Right. For me, it's just thinking about and communicating with the people that have passed, holding on to things. I'm definitely big into the transitional objects, and transitional objects are things that represent the person. Right. So I have this blue and yellow blanket that my grandmother got me for Hanukkah 100 years ago. And I still have that blanket, and I will always have that blanket. Right. And for me, that's in some ways my way of connecting with and honoring my grandmother.
And me and stuff, it's not a transitional object. It's a transitional house full of things that I'm having trouble parting with because they all represent her.
It doesn't have to be every single thing.
Being able to whittle that down to super important things.
Yeah. It could be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just that one object or those certain objects that were most important. What really most represents this person that I can carry with me. Right. And sometimes just carrying the person's memory through life, right, can be your way of honoring them, thinking about them at least once a day, or remembering them once a day, or having a conversation with them, or remembering what their favorite color was, or their favorite song, or painting a room in your house their favorite color. That's what I did for my sister. Right. Her favorite color was yellow. So I have a yellow room. Right. That's just this little way that I continue my relationship with her and carry her through life.
Aw.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that anyone, I don't even know if Mark realizes that. Why is our office yellow? I think he just thinks I like yellow. I do like yellow.
But you probably like yellow because it was Lori's favorite color.
It might be the reason why I like yellow so much, right? It honors her by carrying her favorite color through life, right? That I make sure that there is that presence of yellow. That's my little way. That's this little thing that I do, right? That carries her with me through life. Continues the relationship in a different way.
And I think that's something that's difficult to wrap your head around. Maintaining that relationship with now that our loved ones are gone.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is to know there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever way is right for you. And if there's somebody in your family that wants to do it differently or doesn't feel your way is the right way, that's okay. Right? You don't owe anybody doing it their way. Right? You owe yourself and the person you've lost doing it your way in a way that works for you and the way that's right for you. And if it's going to make somebody else uncomfortable, that's okay, right? We're not responsible for how everybody else feels, right? We have to be responsible for how we feel. And we have to honor how we feel and what's important for us when this is really hard for us. So there is no wrong way and there is no right way. And I think also really the other really important takeaway is knowing that it's hard and knowing that sometimes we can do hard things.
I knew you were going there.
We can do hard things. And we have to find our way of doing hard things, right? Whether it's how breathing through it or getting support or asking for help, being honest with your husband about what you're feeling and telling him what you need, because maybe he doesn't have the emotional intelligence to figure it out on his own.
Maybe he's not a mind reader.
Maybe he's not.
I mean, for Thanksgiving, left a very specific list of things that I needed help with. And like a champ, came home, everything was done. And that, but I was very clear in what I needed for help. And, he was able to kind of do that.
So, that's his strong point, right? If you very specifically say to him, this is what I need you to do, he will do those things.
Absolutely.
Why? Why does he do those things if you tell him to do them?
Because it's super clear for him because he wants to be helpful. He wants
Yes.
to
He wants to
support
help
me.
you.
He just
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily know how. So when I spell it out, he will absolutely do it.
Because he wants to be helpful,
Mhm.
right? He wants to help you, but he doesn't know how to figure it out on his own, right? Like we had said earlier, some people have amazing emotional intelligence and they're very, very in touch with their own stuff. People who are really in touch with their own stuff are usually good at empathizing with others and understanding what might be coming up for somebody else. They might even be better at knowing what's coming up for somebody else than the other person is knowing what's coming up for themselves, right? But somebody who's not necessarily entirely in touch with their own stuff, who doesn't emote, as you put it, on their own, and they're not like, super in touch with their stuff that comes up, they're not going to be good at knowing what's coming up for you because they're not even in touch with them, right? So if John's not entirely in touch with John, he's not going to be able to guess what's going on for Heather.
And I think I was having a hard time kind of really identifying what I needed. So I couldn't expect anybody else to be able to really read that.
You were flooded, right? I think what happened for you is what happens for a lot of people. You went right into your emotional brain, right? I think that you were really in it for Thanksgiving, right? You were in fight or flight because it was hard. It was your first Thanksgiving without your mom, and it was hard, and you had to survive it, and you had to just rally and do what you had to do to make a good Thanksgiving for everybody.
Yep.
And you did it, and it was hard, but you did it. And now I think that you were so in your emotional brain, just like going through the motions of surviving, that you were not enough in your cognitive brain to be able to know cognitively what you needed to do
jumping
next.
onto the next holiday, yep.
Right? You were not ready to jump. Your emotional brain was flooded, and your emotional brain was like, "I'm not ready yet. Halt." Right? Hold your horses. Like, let's pause.
Oh, my grandmother would say that.
Yeah, hold your horses.
Yep.
Yeah. See, she's here. I channeled her. That's her way of responding to you. So. Because I don't usually say that. Like, where did that come from?
She's here too.
She's here too, right? Oh my! I just channeled Grandma. The gang is here.
My mom would say that, like, the gang's all here. Like, what?
Like, it's so weird that I just said hold your horses because I literally don't ever say that. Anywho, so you were really in your emotional brain and you were not in your cognitive brain. You would need to be in your cognitive brain, your prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that thinks and reasons, to be able to tell John what you needed.
To make that list, to be
You
able
were
to
not
say,
there.
This is,
You needed a day, right? You needed to finish processing out, and you needed to allow your amygdala to kind of just like do its thing so that you could bring yourself back into your thoughtful, reasoning, rational brain for you to be like, okay, right? Your cognitive brain gave John the list of what to do for Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Right? But it went offline. Right? And so now here it is. It's back online and it knows what it needs. Right? But I think that you being in your emotional brain triggered him because he didn't know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't have directions. I have to figure this out myself. What do I do?
So making this less about me specifically and generically what can help people get through the holidays. It's, being able to kind of allow yourself to have the emotions and to process it and to really kind of clearly identify if you want help, if you want to do something, if you want to honor them, to be able to kind of verbalize that and ask for that. Or to be able to say, you know what, I need to take a break this year. I might not be able, I might not show up for Christmas Eve. I might need to do it differently. Is it okay if we set a place for them? Is it okay if we have a gift for them? Is, whatever that is. And, being able to clearly identify that, because people don't know. People can't read your mind, and people don't want to, do anything that might upset you.
And if you're not ready to say what you need, it's also okay to say, you know what, right now I'm really in it. I really feel very full of my feelings right now, and I don't know how I want to go forward. Can we take a pause? I need to breathe. I need to think it through. I need to seek guidance. I need to talk to my therapist. I need to talk to my family. I need to really just meditate on it or delve within myself and kind of really just go with the flow and take this one day at a time. I'm not sure.
I think grief can be so unique too. And that everyone,
Yeah.
for some people, they want to be around other people and they want to, kind of, whether it's distracting themselves or celebrating that person by being around other people, where others, want to kind of retreat and spend the time, by themselves thinking about that person and not necessarily like avoiding, but just being with their own thoughts and being with themselves. So I think it's going to vary across the board. And again, the way the stages of grief aren't linear, it's like things are going to kind of come and go. And like one year might be one way, and then in the next year, it might be something completely different. This year, I don't think I can do this. We tried this last year. I couldn't, I had a hard time. I want to go back to doing it this way. Or
Yeah, and it's not so much of I can't. It's that's not what I'm choosing to do, right? Like that first year, that first Thanksgiving without my mom a couple of years ago, when I chose to just like stay home and be like, and it's like, and I wanted my husband to go and do his thing with his family, and I wanted to be alone. It's like I wanted to just sit with my feelings. I wanted to have that opportunity to really just sit with my feelings. It wasn't me avoiding, and it wasn't me feeling guilty, and it wasn't me feeling like I couldn't. It was more of I can.
Yeah.
I am sad and I want to just sit with my sadness and allow it. Right. So it really wasn't an I can't. It was an I can. And this is how I'm choosing to spend my day.
Which is really so interesting and, really makes you want to ask the person, like, are you staying home because, you want to have, to kind of honor your sadness and be, with your thoughts? Or are you doing it to try to avoid? Is there anything I can do to be helpful? Would it be helpful if I came over for an hour and, or do you really want to be by yourself? Or are you choosing not to be by yourself because you think you can't? Maybe I'll go with you for an hour or two, whatever it is, and then we can leave together.
Right. It's not always unhealthy or something to fix, right? If somebody's just like, you know what, I'm really sad and I want to just allow myself to just sit in my sadness, we have to be comfortable with that. We have to allow that and be okay with it, right? There's, different levels of what is or isn't healthy, right? If somebody gets stuck in that and that continues to cycle on and on and on and on, and they are not able to function in their day-to-day life, that's when it becomes an issue. But if somebody's like, you know what, I really just want to take a couple of hours to myself and I just want to sit with my emotions and just experience the loss, and then I'm going to be okay, that's okay to do.
Yeah.
That's not unhealthy.
So allowing, the grieving person to do that.
To grieve, right? Processing grief is hard, right? And there's no way to make it not hard,
And
right?
there's no way to speed through the stages and to get, to try to bypass any of them.
Yeah. So if you are having a hard time and you are sad, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Right. Sometimes people will say, oh, I should be over it by now. It's been this many months or it's been this many years or it's not the first Christmas without them. I shouldn't still be sad. Right. There is no should or shouldn't. What is, right? So notice what you're feeling and be curious about it. I notice that this is what's coming up for me. I wonder why. This is what I'm feeling. I wonder what I need, and honor that. Right. There's no wrong feeling, wrong way, right? It's all good. It's all okay.
It's going to be individual.
Yep.
But I do think, like you said, getting stuck in that, there is a point to kind of seek help and to be able to ask for help. And, like you said, not being able to function with day-to-day activities or, X amount of years into it, still having a really difficult time with that's when you might need to ask for professional help to go to.
I think if you're overwhelmed with guilt, right? If it's guilt that's standing in the way of celebrating the holiday, right? If you can't go to Thanksgiving or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is because you feel guilty. I can't. How do I celebrate? Like you said, you can be thankful and grieve at the same time. If you believe you can't, I can't be grateful. I can't be happy. I can't enjoy. I can't allow this. And you're stuck in that cycle and you're in that guilt. I think that's when it's a really good time to notice that you might need help, that you're stuck, right? Because, guilt is not something that moves us. Guilt is not something that helps us process. Guilt is something that keeps us stuck. right? And punishing ourselves or feeling like we have to keep ourselves in pain to honor somebody is not a healthy way
Yeah.
to honor somebody, right? If we notice that we feel guilty, notice it, understand it, and work on processing it. And if we're stuck in it, I think that's when we know it's time to really, seek some support, right? Because that's not, feeling guilty isn't going to make it better. It is not going to bring the person back, right? And it is okay to be sad and miss somebody, but also enjoy the holiday at the same time, right? We can enjoy this Christmas, this Hanukkah, we can enjoy this holiday season, but miss mom, right? At the same time, or whoever we're missing.
Yeah. So it's finding new ways to honor her.
Yeah. Right. So I think for you this Christmas, it's finding ways to enjoy your holiday for yourself and for your daughter and for John, because it's obviously important to him. But to also allow yourself to feel sad in the moments you need to feel sad, and to ask for help when you need to ask for help, and to find new traditions and to find ways that mom is still peeking in. And I think that goes for everybody. It goes for all of us.
And giving myself permission to not do some of the things that I used to do.
Yep.
I don't think there are things I can do this year, and that's okay.
Honor that. Honor saying, I don't want to do that this year.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'm going to choose to do this instead, because that's going to feel really painful. And I don't choose to inflict that pain on myself. It's not necessary. Why am I doing that? What can I do instead?
Yeah.
Right. Those things are all okay. So I think we've covered a lot.
We've processed my holiday grief, if nothing else. I hope this was helpful for other people.
I'm sure, right? Because what you're going through and what the things that I've gone through are not unique just to us, right? These are the things that I think we all experience.
Yeah.
And so I think we've really covered a lot of the most basic stuff.
Yep. Grief and loss are universal, and the holidays are going to be hard.
And we don't all experience it the same way, and we don't all need the same thing. And that's okay. Right. So any last thoughts, comments?
No.
Summaries?
No. I guess just, to acknowledge that I can get through this, and people can get through and will get through. The holiday is going to come whether you're ready for it or not. And being able to, identify something I can do that will make me feel good about honoring her.
And it does get easier. It doesn't mean that you miss her less or love her less, but you grow accustomed and you become desensitized to the pain of the shock of things being different. And it doesn't mean that you become indifferent
or are over it,
or that you're over it. You don't miss or love any less. It just feels less emotionally charging. And that's just about the brain rewiring. It has nothing to do with how much we love or honor the person, because it becomes easier, so to speak, right? It has nothing to do with that. It's really just about the brain processing and becoming accustomed to and used to. And so it just physically feels less painful. And so we, in time, can remember and honor our loved ones continuously, but maybe with less intensity.
I think that's an important message too for people, that, not that it necessarily gets easier, but you learn to kind of live with that grief and loss, and your brain rewires, it kind of calluses a little bit, whatever it is, that, it's going to get easy.
It's easier.
Yeah.
It's
just
less,
said it wasn't easier, but it's less difficult.
Intense.
Okay. That's better.
It's less, you still miss the person.
Yes.
You're still sad. You still might have, a tearful moment, but the intensity with which you feel the emotion does desensitize. And that's science. It has nothing to do with whether you miss the person or that you miss them less or that you love them less. It has nothing to do with that at all. It's literally just science. We desensitize over time, and we become accustomed to that Christmas without the person. And it doesn't mean anything. So it's not something to feel bad or guilty about, right? We don't have to inflict more pain on ourselves to honor the person. You don't have to be in pain to honor someone. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
So I think that's my last thought there.
Okay.
We did it.
We did it.
We
made
cried
it
a little
through.
bit,
Yeah,
but we
not
survived.
the way I thought I would.
We didn't crumble. See, we can do hard things, Heather. We did not crumble into a million pieces. We survived. We got tearful. And I think that's our way of showing all of you that you can do it too. So we hope this was helpful. We want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday season, however you are celebrating. And if you are grieving this holiday season, our hearts go out to you. We know what it's like. We know it's hard, but that doesn't mean we can't do it, right? We can do it anyway.
Yeah, we can do hard things.
So
I hate to keep saying that.
Merry and happy, everybody. And we will see you all in the new year, right?
Yes.
All right, everyone. So like I always say, you know where to find us. We're on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all the places where you can see and listen to and watch podcasts.
Yes, and iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio.
And we're on Facebook and Instagram and
Follow us in all the places.
Yep.
And don't forget to subscribe, and please share if you know somebody that this will be helpful for. Please share it with them, and that might be your way of supporting somebody who is suffering a loss or grieving during the holidays. And so with that, I am Stacy.
And I'm Heather.
And we are
Why Do People Do That?
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Why Do People Do That is recorded and produced by Press Record Studios.